Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! My name is Matt, and I live with my family in a suburban neighborhood with a white picket fence that separates my yard from the one owned by my neighbor, Dave. Now, don't get me wrong, Dave seemed like a nice enough guy, but little did I know that he had an inner entitled beast just waiting to break free. During summer, my family and I decided to go on a much-needed vacation. We packed our bags, locked up the house, and set off for a week of relaxation and fun. Everything seemed hunky-dory, and we were blissfully unaware of the chaos that awaited us back home. Fast forward to the day of our return, and we drove into the neighborhood, feeling refreshed from our trip. But as we approached our house, something seemed off. Our once pristine white picket fence was now a mangled mess of broken boards and splinters. "Whoa, what happened to our fence?" I shouted, completely flabbergasted. My wife Sarah glanced out the window and gasped, "It looks like a hurricane hit while we were gone." As we pulled into the driveway, we noticed a party happening next door at Dave's house. The music was blaring and people were splashing around in our pool like it was a public water park. "What the heck is going on over there?" I muttered. I approached Dave, who was lounging in a deck chair with a smug look on his face. "Hey Dave, what happened to our fence? And why is there a pool party in our backyard?" With an arrogant grin, he replied, "Oh, don't worry about the fence. The HOA president, Karen, gave me the green light to take it down for the pool party. She said it would be a community event and that your yard and pool are practically community assets in this case." I couldn't believe my ears. Karen, the HOA president, was always shady and annoying, but this was way out of line. I mean, there were rumors circulating about mismanagement of HOA funds. Several community members questioned the transparency of the financial decisions made by Karen and the HOA board. They were concerned about where the money from their dues was going, and there seemed to be a lack of accountability for how the funds were being used for community improvements. One time, they decided to impose strict guidelines for holiday decorations, including limiting the use of outdoor lighting and disallowing inflatables and animated displays. This decision upset many families who had cherished traditions of creating elaborate displays during the holiday season. Another time, Karen once proposed to remove a community play area, arguing that it was an eyesore and required maintenance costs. However, the majority of families with young children protested, emphasizing the importance of having a safe space for kids to play and socialize. Anyways, I stormed over to Karen, who was sipping a drink and chatting with some of the partygoers. "Karen, what on earth possessed you to let Dave destroy my fence and throw a party in my backyard?" She looked at me arrogantly and said, "Oh, Matt, it's all in the name of community spirit. Plus, the HOA was running out of funds for our events, so Dave offered to sponsor this pool party. Isn't that generous of him?" I was raging. "Generous? It's my property, and I never agreed to any of this." Karen waved me off dismissively. "Oh, don't be such a spoilsport. Everyone's having a great time, and it's all for the greater good of the neighborhood." Greater good my foot. I stormed back to my family, who were watching the spectacle unfold with wide eyes. Sarah put a comforting hand on my shoulder, saying, "What are we going to do, Matt? This is insane." I took a deep breath and decided that enough was enough. I pulled out my phone and dialed the non-emergency police line. "Hi, there is a neighbor here throwing a party on my property without my permission, and I need some help sorting this out." The dispatcher assured me that an officer would be on their way. In the meantime, I walked up to the DJ, who was blasting music at an ear-shattering volume, and asked him to turn it down. He gave me a condescending look but complied. A few minutes later, an officer arrived on the scene. I explained the situation, and he listened attentively, raising an eyebrow at the audacity of the whole ordeal. "Let me have a word with your neighbor and the HOA president," he said, striding over to where they were still holding court. The officer spoke with them for a while, and I could see their smug expressions slowly morphing into concern. After what felt like an eternity, the officer walked back to us and said, "Well, it seems like Mr. Dave and Mrs. Karen didn't quite grasp the concept of personal property. I've informed them that they need to clear out immediately and restore your fence." Dave put a weak argument saying, "But officer, this is a community event. Everyone's having fun." The officer was having none of it. "That may be, but it's not your property, and you didn't have permission to use it." End of discussion. With the police officers backing, they begrudgingly started tearing down the decorations and gathering up their party supplies. The crowd dispersed, leaving our yard looking like a post-apocalyptic mess. As they cleaned up, Karen gave me a death stare and said, "You'll regret this, Matt. The HOA won't stand for this disrespect." I simply shrugged. "No, Karen, I won't stand for this disrespect. This will not slide." Once the partygoers had cleared out and our yard was returned to a semblance of normalcy, the police officer left after leaving me his card to inform him of what I want to do with this after giving it some thought. The next day I attended a meeting of the HOA to address the situation. During the meeting, I couldn't help but share my frustration and concern with the rest of the members. I stood up, taking a deep breath, and addressed the room. "Hey everyone, I hope you don't mind me saying a few words here. I just wanted to talk about what happened with the pool party on my property while my family and I were away. It's not just about a fence and a party, it's about the fundamental principle of property rights and respect. I understand that the HOA aims to promote a sense of community and organize events, but that should never come at the cost of trampling over someone's property. When we leave our houses for a few days, we should feel confident that our homes and belongings are safe, not worried that someone else might swoop in and take over in the name of the HOA. Now, I am not against community gatherings and having fun together. In fact, I encourage it. But imagine if any of you went on vacation and returned to find your home invaded, your belongings used without permission, and your property damaged. I bet you wouldn't be thrilled about it either. I'm not asking for special treatment, just basic respect. That's what a community should be built upon. Mutual respect and understanding. I hope we can all learn from this incident and ensure that it never happens again." The room fell silent for a moment as my words sunk in. Some nodded in agreement while others looked contemplative. It was clear that my message had struck a chord with several members. As the HOA meeting continued, I felt the need to make an important announcement regarding the actions of my neighbor Dave. I tell them, after talking with the police, it became evident that I have every right to pursue legal action against Dave for trespassing, destruction of property, and unauthorized use of my yard and pool. I just wanted you all to be aware of my intentions. Some members looked surprised, while others nodded in understanding. I wasn't one to take legal action lightly, but it had become clear that Dave needed to face the consequences. Dave, however, didn't take the news well. He jumped to his feet with a raging face. "You can't do that. Karen encouraged me to have the pool party. She told me it was a fantastic idea and that the HOA would support it." Karen's eyes widened in shock, and she shook her head, clearly not expecting Dave to throw her under the bus. "Now hold on just a minute," she stammered, trying to maintain her composure. "I never encouraged you to do anything of the sort, Dave. You know very well that hosting a party on someone else's property without their consent is against the rules." But Dave wasn't backing down though. "No, you're lying. You said it was a community event and that everyone would love it. You even said we could use Matt's pool and yard for the party." I couldn't believe my ears. Dave was desperate, and he was now trying to drag Karen down with him. But Karen surprised us all with her response. "I can assure you all that I never endorsed or encouraged Dave to throw a party on Matt's property. In fact, I explicitly told him that such actions were not allowed. This is a serious matter, and I won't stand for false accusations." The room fell silent once again as everyone processed what had just happened. Karen had just flipped a script on Dave, and he seemed to realize that his attempts to shift the blame weren't working. With a defeated expression, Dave stormed out of the room, realizing that his plan had backfired spectacularly. The other members exchanged glances, and it was clear that they didn't trust Dave's version of events. I spoke up again, trying to diffuse the tension. Look, I don't want this to turn into a big confrontation, but I do want to hold Dave accountable for what he did to me. I'm not looking for revenge, I just want to protect my property and ensure that this doesn't happen again to me or anyone else. In the days that followed, I did proceed with pressing charges against Dave for the damage and trespassing. It wasn't about revenge, it was about standing up for my rights and the rights of others in the community. I made sure to keep my neighbors informed about the progress of the legal proceedings, as transparency was crucial in rebuilding trust within the neighborhood. As time went on, it became apparent that Dave could not let go of the resentment he harbored towards Karen for turning on him during the HOA meeting. His misguided sense of retaliation led him down a dark path, one that would eventually be captured on surveillance cameras and escalate the tensions within our community. One morning, it was discovered that Karen's car had its tire slashed by someone during the night. As the news spread, it didn't take long for security footage from a nearby camera to surface. The recording revealed Dave skulking around the car, wearing a hoodie to obscure his identity, but he faced the camera way too many times to get a clear shot of his face. The evidence was undeniable. Upon seeing the surveillance footage, Karen's anger flared like a wildfire. She stormed to Dave's house and she confronted him in the front yard. "You've really done it this time, Dave," Karen shouted. "How could you betray me like this after everything?" Dave, caught off guard, tried to feign innocence, but the proof was right there on the footage. "I don't know what you're talking about, Karen. Whatever happened, it's not me." But Karen wasn't backing down either. She pulled out her phone and called the cops on spot. As she waited for the call to connect, Dave's demeanor changed from denial to anger. "You're calling the cops on me? After all we've been through? I can't believe you turned on me like this, Karen," he says to the dispatcher. "I need the police to come to my house immediately. I've got someone vandalizing my car, and I believe he's the one responsible for my car's tire slashing." Karen kept her phone in hand, the call recording as evidence, as she continued to face Dave. Dave's anger seemed to escalate, and he started screaming, "You're making a big mistake, Karen. I thought we were friends." Karen took a deep breath, trying to remain composed. "Friends don't slash each other's tires, Dave. This has gone too far, and I can't let you continue to come at me like that. And all for a freaking pool party?" Within minutes, the police arrived at the scene. Karen pointed at the surveillance camera, showing the officers the incriminating footage of Dave vandalizing her car. The police acted swiftly, restraining Dave and reading him his rights. They gathered evidence from the scene and interviewed witnesses who had heard the confrontation. The incident involving Dave and the tire slashing led to a loss of trust in Karen among the community members. Many felt that her judgment was questionable, and her position as the HOA president was no longer tenable. During an emergency meeting, the community members expressed their concerns and frustrations, and they kinda forced her to step down from the position of the HOA president. With Karen's resignation, the community had the opportunity to elect a new HOA president, and several members expressed interest in the position, but among the candidates, there was one neighbor, Mark, who stood out for his dedication to community service and his reputation for being fair and impartial. He emphasized the importance of transparency, open dialogue, and ensuring that everyone's voice was heard. After a thoughtful election process, Mark was elected as a new HOA president, and he accepted the role with humility. I am sorry if my story was a little bit long, but I hope you got something good out of it. See you later. I've been happily married to my wonderful husband, Jack, for 3 years now. He's the sweetest guy you'll ever meet. But there's just one tiny bump on our otherwise smooth ride called life. His mom, Margie. Our journey began with roses and sunshine, as our relationships do. We were blissfully in love and decided to take the plunge into marriage. Little did I know what awaited me on the other side of the aisle. The first time I met Margie, she greeted me with a forced smile that sent shivers down my spine. Fast forward to our wedding day, it was supposed to be the best day of our lives, but of course, Margie had to add her own twist to it. As I was walking down the aisle, I could swear I heard her whisper to her friend, "Well, she's no Stephanie. Who's Stephanie anyway?" After the wedding, the real adventure began. Margie would drop by our apartment unannounced, giving me many heart attacks every time. I'd be in the middle of a Netflix binge, and suddenly there she was, right outside our door, ready to critique everything from our decor to my cooking skills. One day, as I was trying to cook a family recipe, she couldn't resist pointing out, "Oh dear, that's not how my Jack likes it." At that moment, I vowed never to cook for her again. Let's see her survive without my legendary lasagna. But that wasn't all. She had a talent for turning innocent conversations into awkward interrogations. Like that time when we told her we were thinking about getting a dog. Instead of being supportive, she said, "Dogs are so messy and expensive. Are you sure you're ready for that?" I am telling you, this lady could find a cloud in the sunniest of days. Let's not forget her constant comparisons between me and perfect Stephanie. Apparently, Stephanie is a master at everything: cooking, cleaning, and even gardening. According to Margie, I'm just not up to the mark. Well, sorry for not being Stephanie 2.0, but I'm pretty happy being Lisa 1.0, thank you very much. Now, the pinnacle of her interference came when we announced that we were expecting our first child. You'd think she'd be excited, right? Nope. Instead, she had the audacity to ask if I was sure it wasn't a false alarm. Excuse me? I took 3 pregnancy tests, lady. Throughout my pregnancy, she offered unsolicited advice and shared horror stories about her own parenting experiences. Every visit felt like a battle of wills, with me trying to stand my ground and Margie determined to push her opinions onto me. I'll admit she made me question my sanity a few times. When our little bundle of joy, Emily, finally arrived, I hoped things would change. But Margie wasn't about to give up her title of just no mother-in-law. She'd criticize my diapering technique, tell me I wasn't burping Emily correctly, and even question my choice of baby clothes. One day, after what seemed like a never-ending critique session, I decided enough was enough. I gently but firmly told her that I appreciated her advice, but I needed some space to figure things out on my own. Of course, she didn't take it well and stormed out of our house, muttering something about ungrateful young people. I sighed with relief, thinking maybe, just maybe, we'd have some peace now. But I was wrong. Margie unleashed a full-on passive-aggressive attack on social media, posting articles about overbearing daughter-in-laws and sharing memes that hinted at her difficult life as a mother-in-law. Oh, the drama. Our friends and family saw through her antics, but it was still frustrating. I couldn't understand why she had to make everything so complicated. My own mother, on the other hand, was a complete opposite, supportive, loving, and always there when I needed her. Despite everything, I decided to take the high road and invited Margie over for a heart-to-heart talk. It started off like any other conversation, with me gently explaining how her behavior was affecting our family and how we wanted to find a healthier way to relate to each other. But boy, did things take a wild turn. At first, Margie seemed open to the discussion, nodding along and acknowledging some of her past mistakes. But as we delved deeper into the issues, her mood shifted. It was like flipping a switch. She became defensive and started justifying her actions, refusing to take responsibility for her hurtful behavior. I tried to remain calm and understanding, but Margie wasn't having it. She accused me of brainwashing her son, Jack, and making him distant from her. She was convinced that I was the cause of all their problems and that I was turning her precious son against her. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was like a scene from a melodramatic movie. Margie's voice grew louder and her accusations became more absurd. She even started bringing up unrelated past grievances, adding fuel to the fire. As the tension escalated, I glanced at Jack, hoping he would intervene, but he seemed caught between his loyalty to me and his love for his mother. The situation was spiraling out of control and I knew I had to put an end to it. With a heavy heart, I firmly told Margie that we couldn't continue the conversation if she wasn't willing to listen and be respectful. And that's when all hell broke loose. She stood up, red-faced, and started yelling at the top of her lungs. "How dare you talk to me like that? I'm your mother-in-law. You have no right to kick me out of this house." But I wasn't kicking you or anything. But Jack had finally had enough. With a stern voice, he said, "Mom, enough is enough. You're not respecting Lisa or me, and your behavior is unacceptable. We invited you here to talk, not to throw a tantrum. If you can't treat us with respect, then maybe you need some time to think about how you want to be a part of our lives." Margie's eyes widened, realizing that she had pushed her son too far. She tried to plead and apologize, but it was too late. Jack asked her to leave, hoping that some distance would give her the space to reflect on her actions. For the next few weeks, we went no contact with Margie. During this time, we focused on nurturing our own little family and building stronger bonds with our friends and other relatives who supported us. As the weeks turned into months, we received occasional messages from Margie apologizing and expressing her desire to change, but we needed to see actions, not just words. We wanted to be sure that any future relationship would be healthy and respectful. So guys, please let me know if we should let her back into our lives or not. I'm not really sure what to do here. Thank you. I'm a big gamer and I have been since 2007. And I'm a mix between a console player and a PC player. I bought a gaming PC that cost in the $2,000 mark. The main story, it was a family gathering with my aunt, our entitled mother, my cousin, the entitled kid, and my mom, my uncle, and so on. I went to the door to greet my family and it only took 5 minutes for the entitled kid to ask, "Do you have games?" I was startled by the question, so it took me a while to answer. Yes. Why? "Can I play, please?" "Sure, you can play on my PS4.
"Do you have a PC? Because I'm a PC gamer."
"I do, but you can't play on it."
"Come on, let him play. We have done so much for you."
Like, they all enter and I know to lock my room because the entitled kid will go into it. I go and eat lunch with the rest of my family and then I go to the toilet and I hear the entitled kid yell out,
"Hey, I can't open his door."
This set a red flag, so I quickly finished up and rushed to my door to see him kicking my door. "What are you doing?" My aunt says.
"He wants to play on your PC, and since you weren't here, he tried to open it, but your door stuck. So..."
"Fine, screw it." I unlock the door and let him in, but I watch him play and look at my phone for around 3 hours while he's playing Fortnite. And he makes a few screams here, a few swear words there, but nothing surprises me more than what he did next. He yells,
"That jerk is hacking."
"Hey, calm down before you punch my..." Smash. I look over my shoulder to see my keyboard through my monitor. "Mom, come in here quick." My mom rushes in to see the horror that happened to my monitor. She yells at the kid, "Kid, what did you do?"
"Well, it's not his fault, the game is nonsense,"
his entitled mother says. I kick the entitled kid into the wall and start screaming at him. And his mother yells,
"What are you doing?"
"That PC cost me $2,000.
"So? It's just a box of microchips and wires."
"Shut up, you're next. Get out of my room. And this house too." Well, that happened a year ago and I still haven't seen them, but they were forced to repay me, plus interest, and I got my PC fixed and I earned $500 as well.